disrespectful can you be? I got another woman somewhere else's house. And I don't understand you can do me like this because right now I still love you. Even you treat me like dirt right now. I still love you. I still got love for you. But that's your baby and you won't take care of him.
He's admitted he's been carrying on a sexual relationship with your daughter. At the same time, he was in a sexual relationship with you.
Yes.
Did they deny it at first? But your intuition told you something was going on.
And I would get up to go to the bathroom. She would get up out of the chair across the room to sit by him.
Ms. Bogardus has to be a superwoman because how can she be fine with her boyfriend impregnating her daughter? Ms. Holthouse and Mr. Shinwald really did that woman dirty. Ridiculous is nothing next to what Ms. Bogardus' daughter and her nasty boyfriend did.
Ms. Holthouse, you are here to prove paternity of your 3-month-old son, Zayden.
Yes, Your Honor.
Shockingly, you confess it's either a man you shared a sexual relationship with who wants nothing to do with your child, or the defendant who happens to be your mother's boyfriend.
Y'all hear how terrible it sounds? Oh yeah, Ms. Bogardus has to live with that kind of truth. Talking about truth, there's still a lot of that to uncover from the case of Ms. Holthouse versus Shinwald and Bogardus.
So, Mr. Chanel, how did you end up in a sexual relationship with your girlfriend's daughter?
It started out as a text message, Your Honor. I received wasn't supposed to come to me and a word was misspelled. It was a word. A few days later, she had on tight clothing, no little skirt, breast out, and next thing you know, one thing led to another. We started flirting with each other back and forth.
Mr. Shinwald is saying he fell for his girlfriend's daughter because of a misspelt word and short skirt. Don't forget, Ms. Holthouse is meant to be like a daughter to Mr. Shinwald too, but it seems that thought flew out of Mr. Shinwald's head a long time as he saw her boobies out. Shameful.
This all started with a word you misspelled in a text.
Yes, Your Honor.
You sent the message. Was it meant for him or meant for someone else?
It was meant for him, but my mom was sitting right beside me when I texted him this.
About having a sexual relationship with your mother's boyfriend.
I had not really thought about it until I got a phone call from him.
Mr. Shinwald is the adult here, and he was even the person pushing the sexual agenda. Ms. Bogardus really has the patience of a mother because that man's punishment is supposed to be on another level.
Response was?
I didn't mean anything about it at that moment.
And then he said, no, I'm serious. I'm trying to figure out how this conversation got from there to the park. What did you say to her, Mr. Chanel?
Just asked her if she wanted to go out and have a good time with me.
Sure.
Oh yeah. What's funny to Ms. Holthouse? There's really nothing to smile about in this sad situation. Ms. Holthouse was definitely eyeing her mother's boyfriend. That's just unfair to Ms. Bogardus. She gave that man a roof over his head, and that's the best he could do to assist her.
She didn't have any idea until Mr. Chenault and her got locked up and he got out while he was in jail.
How did she find out?
She had kind of manipulated both of us, saying that I told her about what we did and I never said anything, and she said that he told her about what we did and he never said anything.
And who confessed?
Just like the judge mentioned, that's nasty work for real. Why would anyone be interested in moving from a mother to her daughter at the same time? Everyone wants to know what was going through Mr. Shinwald's head that made him commit such atrocious behavior. It definitely isn't normal.
Ever almost catch you?
Yes, and when she did,
What happened?
she caught me standing in front of her, my pants unzipped. She was really furious and upset, and we basically got into huge arguments and fights.
And so when you found out you were pregnant, Ms. Holthouse, did your mother know anything about this?
Some people would have landed in jail did murder if they were Ms. Bogardus. Y'all can see Mr. Shinwald doesn't look remorseful. He's just being polite because he got caught. Even Judge Lake wouldn't have that type of patience. It's just all shades of wrong.
Well, at the moment I did not know, but as my mom was pregnant with my sister, my sister is Mr. Chenault's daughter.
How old is her daughter?
She's about to turn 11 months.
How old is your child?
He is 3 months.
3 months. When you find out you're pregnant, whose child do you think it is?
Mr. Shinwald just keeps worsening the situation, impregnating both his girlfriend, that is the mother of Ms. Holthouse, that also may have possibly birthed a child for him. Ms. Bogardus is never getting over this type of betrayal from both her daughter and boyfriend.
Ma'am, we are discussing a very difficult situation. Mr. Chenault has been honest with this court. He's admitted he's been carrying on a sexual relationship with your daughter. At the same time, he was in a sexual relationship with you.
Yes.
Did they deny it at first?
Yes.
But your intuition told you something was going on.
She did judge Lake, and that's the reason they are all in your court, ma'am. These two played Ms. Bogardus like a piano. Now we just have to hear those 5 or 4 words from the judge to finalize what Ms. Bogardus's fate will be like.
Mr. Chenault, it has been determined by this court. You are not his father.
3. Fathers to one child is wild. But the part that will blow your mind is who exactly took the case to paternity court. Is it the first, second, or the third option of being the baby daddy? That's what we are about to find out alongside who exactly the father is.
And you say you grew up believing one man was your father, yet had another man listed on your birth certificate. Then, after you turned 30 years old, a third man, the defendant, suddenly contacted you on Facebook claiming he was your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
The mother of Ms. Nelson has some questions to answer concerning how she was seeing 3 men at the same time. Mr. Sterling looks like he's not about to let his 30-year-old dear daughter not know he's the real daddy. It's about to get real tense in that court.
You're here with your daughter and say it was she who helped you find Miss Nelson.
Yes, ma'am.
You claim today you will reveal why another man's name is on Miss Nelson's birth certificate and prove to her you are indeed her father.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sterling wants his daughter, and now Judge Lake has to do justice to that, but not until we hear the story from both sides or the 4 parties involved. There's the mother, or Ms. Nelson, and the supposed 3 daddies. Whew!
How did you first hear about Mr. Sterling's claim?
Well, Your Honor, I grew up my whole life knowing a different man was my dad. It was a man that was in prison. My mother took me to visit him weekend after weekend, week after week, and this is the man I grew up knowing.
Ms. Nelson's mother knew a man in and out of prison wasn't a good fit for her daughter's daddy, but she allowed him to knock her up? Okay, that's interesting. Mr. Sterling will have to be really patient at this point to figure out if Ms. Nelson would turn out to be his biological daughter.
Father's name listed, Vincent Preston Nelson. And that's not the name of the gentleman you visited in prison.
No, Your Honor.
So this had to be confusing.
Yes, Your Honor. I was hurt because I never knew who he was. I just knew that this man was my dad, and I felt like my mom should have told me that this man was my father, even though he was in and out of prison.
Ms. Nelson claimed her birth certificate father and the supposed biological father were different according to her mother's explanation, and that hurt her deeply. But here's the kicker. Ms. Nelson was hurt, but there's nothing she could do about it. Her mother made the messy bed, but Ms. Nelson has to lie in it.
I got a message from a man named Christopher Lancaster saying that I'm your dad. He was sorry for not being in my life, and he now wants to be in my life. And he left 2 numbers on there. I contacted both those numbers. Both the numbers were disconnected because it was...
So there's also a Christopher Lancaster in the mix. Mr. Lancaster said he's the father on Facebook like he was ready to take on the responsibility, but he left 2 numbers that weren't reachable. That man is ready to be a father to Ms. Nelson just yet.
Well, I know you don't know who I am, but I'm your father. Thinking when you get this message.
Your Honor, honestly, I didn't even know what to think because it was like I was...
It's like it's just coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It was outrageous to me that I had got this message.
It's outrageous for real. Different men springing up as one's father will definitely have a negative psychological effect on anyone. There's a birth certificate father, a prison father, and even an unknown father that Ms. Nelson has to deal with.
Relationship with her mother.
We was young, Your Honor. We was young. We met in high school.
Okay.
17, 18 years old. We was young. You're young, you fall in love with each other. So we had the relationship, had sex.
When you found out she was pregnant, did you know you were the father?
Yes, ma'am. I was there at the hospital.
Ow, that sounds like a sweet love story. Young lovebirds dealing with life in their different ways. If only Nunger Sterling's love for Ms. Nelson's mother blossomed into a happy family. But it's never too late, right? Let's see how that goes.
I used to tie a note because we stayed on the 5th floor. It's the project, so we stayed on the 5th floor. I used to hand a note down on a string and then give it to her. She'd tie her note up and I pulled the note out. I was on punishment.
Oh my God. All right, you're redeemed.
Mr. Sterling must have really fantasized that he was going to have his happily ever after with Ms. Nelson's mother. It seems like he's still in love even after decades of leaving high school. Mr. Sterling needs Ms. Nelson to be his daughter so badly so he could redeem his high school love fruit.
Mr. Sterling, you are her father.
Sterling clan now. Thank you, Carla.
Mr. Green is not about to accept someone else's child as his when he knew Ms. Bailey was sleeping with multiple men, including himself during the time of her conception. Ms. Bailey wants to prove to Mr. Green and everyone that Mr. Green is indeed the father of the baby in question.
You state you've brought your ex-husband, Mr. Green, to court to prove he is the biological father of your 9-month-old son, Lawrence.
Yes, Your Honor.
Though you freely admit to sleeping with multiple men during the time of conception, you say you believe the defendant is your child's father because you kept an ovulation calendar.
Okay, but there has to be more to the story, so let's dig for that. Mr. Green can't just conclude he's nothing the father of the baby because there were other guys. The baby could still be his, as he might have been the lucky shooter who scored. Just as the judge wants to know what's going on with this case, so does the audience feel too.
So certain this is not your child.
Well, we went on a 4-month drought, and the first time I had seen her in 4 months, she already had a little pudge, a little pouch, like she already looked pregnant.
Your Honor, I always had a stomach. Obviously, I still have a stomach, and I'm not pregnant now.
Ms. Bailey also thinks Mr. Green is indeed the father of her baby, so he shouldn't run away from his responsibilities. So these two grown-ups have some explanations to do. They were the ones who knew when they were hitting on each other and selling each other hopes and dreams of having a great family. So let's go deeper to know how this plays out.
Very fast. Shouldn't have been married.
6 months.
You were married for 6 months.
No, we wasn't, Your Honor. We was together about 7 months. We dated for 6 months. We got married. We were together for 3 months, and she went missing for a whole year. I tried to get a divorce.
When did I go missing? I have never went missing. We stayed in contact to this day.
Divorce? Oops, that's some serious work right there. Ms. Bailey is telling the court she and Mr. Green are still having sexual relationship, and even if he claims he's with another woman, she could still have him if she wanted to. First of all, the fact that they are still having a sexual relationship puts Mr. Green at a disadvantage, but let's continue digging.
If I found out I was pregnant, would he believe that it was his child? And he told me yes.
Your Honor, she disappeared. How could she talk to somebody when she wasn't around? She was gone for 5 months.
Your Honor, if I told him I was pregnant, I still went with him in March.
No,
I did not see her anymore. And then I went with him again when I was 3 months pregnant.
Mr. Green believed Ms. Bailey's baby was his baby at the time of conception, but his thought changed after the baby came to life. Was Mr. Green just trying to escape baby dash duties and responsibilities? For him to have accepted at first, he definitely would have thought and felt the baby was his own. So why change the narrative?
Bailey, respectfully, you slept with him and 2 other men, so do you blame him for not being sure? Or
no, Your Honor, I don't blame him.
Did you know at that time, Mr. Green, that she had slept with 2 other men as well?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. I did. She tells me stuff that think is gonna make me mad. I just let it go over my head, get what I want, and move on to the next.
We shouldn't blame Mr. Green so much since Ms. Bailey also agreed that she wasn't faithful. Mr. Green has the right to have his doubts that he isn't the baby daddy of the innocent child. These folks seem to like to complicate this baby's future.
There's no way that child should come out that light with red hair.
Why?
There's no way.
Do you know your whole family history? Do you know if any red hairs are in my family?
Because she bought it. His hair is red because somebody else gave it to him.
2 different color reds, 2 different colors.
So this is your evidence that pertains to the fact you don't believe that you or her together could produce a child.
Damn, that room is witnessing more evidence than a corruption court case. Mr. Green doesn't agree that a red-headed baby belongs to him. The only way Ms. Bailey was able to birth a red-headed baby is because she had slept with a red-headed man. Mr. Green said there's no history of a red-headed person in his entire family tree, so Ms. Bailey can't force the baby on him.
Like he just don't care about him. But Your Honor, I do have a calendar that I have.
I would like to see that.
My fertility, that tells you the day that me and him slept together and the other 2.
So this is your iPad that has your app in red ovulated.
Yes.
So now going forward.
So Ms. Bailey depended on that app to know who exactly her baby daddy is. But as Mr. Green said, it's too crowded, and his sperm could have done nothing in the cause of fertilizing one of Ms. Bailey's eggs. It's wild enough that this is happening, but Mr. Green never thought of calling it quits in terms of their sexual relationship, hence the problem.
Okay, he broke up with her to be with me, and then when Thanksgiving came along, he told me he was staying with his sister. So he asked me to spend a weekend with him, which I did, and I walked in, and he took me into another woman's house, not his sister's house, another woman's house. Oh, I shouldn't have stopped. I should have stopped messing with him then, because how disrespectful can you be? I got another woman somewhere else's house.
So here it comes, Mr. Green's little dirty secret out in the open too. But Ms. Bailey knew she should have stopped. That relationship has no sustenance whatsoever, but it is what it is, right? Mr. Green and Ms. Bailey really aren't the best match for each other, but we need to hear that result though.
Mr. Green, you are Lawrence's father. In the infamous words of Mr. Green, it is what it is.
Ms. McKinney is in open court with her supposed baby father, who is denying paternity of a beautiful girl, Amira. What's the reason Mr. Brown thinks Amira belongs to another man? You should witness the cat being let out of the bag yourself.
Prove to your husband that he fathered your 11-month-old daughter, Amira. You testify that his paternity denial tearing you apart. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Brown, you say there is no way you are Amira's biological father.
That's some jaw-dropping information. A sex tape with another is the part where many men will draw the line and not care about the woman and her offspring. However, Mr. Brown still wants to know if baby Amira belongs to him before he would get rid of Ms. McKinney from his life.
And that the fact that that's his daughter, and it's not about looks, it's about DNA. And I'm here today to prove and show that he is the father of Amira Brown.
And I can see that you are really hurting right now. I can see the tears. What are you feeling, Miss McKinney? What are you feeling?
I just hope that he's the father of Amira Brown.
Hope that he is.
Yes.
Ms. McKinney hopes her daughter turns out to be Mr. Brown's biological father as she breaks down in tears. You may be thinking about Ms. McKinney's thought process since she's the one who was messing around with different men and even recorded it for whatever reason best known to her.
Do not believe you're Amira's biological father.
No, I do not, because when she was born, she did not look like me. And I waited, I gave it time to see how she would look, and more every day that I look and take pictures with Amira, she has his face, and it bothers me a lot.
So you feel Amira looked like the man you saw on the sex tape with your wife?
Well. Mr. Brown wouldn't believe Amira is his biological daughter even for $1 million. Mr. Brown looks like who would argue that the DNA test is wrong if it comes back positive that he's the father, but he's the victim here. So maybe he has the right to not give Ms. McKinney a benefit of doubt.
How did you find this sex tape?
Well, one day the girls, they like snatching her phone, so they grabbed her phone before they could even get into the video. I grabbed it and it pressed play, and I seen the beginning of the video, and I didn't see what I liked, so I just disclosed it. I didn't watch the whole video.
The video came up, or you went looking to see what was in her phone?
They were scrolling through her pictures, whatever, and before they could even get to it, I grabbed the phone.
Mr. Brown didn't like what he saw on the phone, and he even knew it was inappropriate for kids to watch. Could that be the reason Ms. McKinney wants Mr. Brown to be the biological father of Amira? Because he would be a responsible father to her also? It's a valid reason, but what if he's not the father?
And then I finally met him in person, and he came to my house.
So how often were you sexually active with this man?
10 times.
And now, Mr. Brown, you believe this man is the father of Amira?
10 times is more than enough for a fertile man to impregnate a woman, and this shows Mr. Brown's opinion about the other man being the father is also very valid, since the other man consistently showed up that many times he could as well be the biological father of baby Amira.
What did she tell you about her relationship status when you first met her?
Well, when I first met Miss McKinley, we was talking on the dating site, and the day I met her, Mr. Brown was present, but they wasn't together. But I seen them face to face.
Oh, the day you met her in person?
Yes.
The other man, Jonathan Fowler, doesn't even know her last name. Oh, Ms. McKinney's reason for not wanting him to be the baby daddy keeps getting clearer. Mr. Fowler doesn't seem to be interested in participating in this family drama, but he has to be in that court because baby Amira could be his daughter.
Well, me and Miss McKinney met up, and she told me she was pregnant in June of 2017, summer.
Okay.
Yes.
What did she tell you exactly?
That she's pregnant and she's ready to give birth.
So who did she say the father was?
She didn't tell me
I said it was complicated.
Yeah, it's indeed complicated. There are two men ready to know which one of them actually fathered the beautiful baby girl. But this complication needs to be squashed in Judge Lake's court before Mr. Brown, who can be seen boiling with anger, punch both Ms. McKinney and Mr. Fowler in the face.
You were?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
And did you sign the birth certificate?
No, I did not.
I refused to let him sign it.
I said no because Amira didn't look like me. That's why I said.
Why did you refuse?
Because since we're married and I get public assistance, they're gonna gonna try to hit him with child support.
You all were legally married, so why would he have to be on the hook for child support if you're legally married?
Mr. Brown knew from the jump that he isn't the biological father to that baby, and that in fact didn't make him sign the birth certificate that would be a problem to him in future. And definitely it keeps getting more complicated. The DNA result is the only thing that would do justice to the situation.
Mr. Fowler, you are not the father. Mr. Brown, you are not the father. Miss McKinney, are you okay? Jerome, help her. Just take a seat, honey, and breathe.